Welcome to my program, Bashys Corner. We invite guests from all sections of society. We discuss with them politics, sports, culture, integration, any issue which we find interesting and mainstream media either neglects it or doesn't bother to cover. And my two guests today is a proof that how mainstream media often is neglecting that important issue I'm going to talk. And the important issue today is forced adoption of children from their families to adopted families. And this removal of children from their parent is a topic we do not hear much in Denmark and in the rest of the Western world. I know many cases where small kids from their families were removed, sometime without consent of their parents, and were given to the families who had nothing or no knowledge of the culture of the children. But it also happens to Danish parents and parents with developing countries background living in Denmark. And to discuss this vital issue, I have invited Aniella Bonnichsen and his loving son, Michael. And the story, it really impressed me and brought tears to my eyes that how come in a developed country like Denmark, a democratic country like Denmark, a country which talks so much about humanity, can treat a mother like that. Aniella, welcome to my program.
Thank
and
you.
Michael, also I'm very happy that you both could come and we can discuss this issue which normally is not so much visible. I will start with you, Aniella, first. Michael is your first son.
Yes.
And you had to give him away.
Yes.
I mean, if I can say so.
Yes.
When did it happen?
It happened when I was 15 years old. I was only 15 years old when I had my first son, okay. And only 14 years old when I got pregnant.
And where were you living at that time?
In Hillerød.
Okay,
here
in the north
Denmark.
of Copenhagen.
North, yes.
Okay. And why did you have to give him up?
Well, I think it was because I was so young, and maybe because my family was very religious, okay. And it was like a shame to have a son, to have a child when you was not married. So I felt it was not an option to keep him. We didn't talk at all about if I would keep him, what kind of help would I get.
So it almost forced you?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I was pressed to. I didn't feel I had any choice. Yes.
And that was your love child?
Yes.
When you gave away your first baby,
yes,
and as I said, in this democratic society, what about your parents, friends, and authorities? They didn't help you?
No. I didn't have any help, either from my family or from society. The only help I got was help to adopt him away.
And it must have devastated you?
Yes, of course.
Michael, you are the man who was adopted away.
Yeah.
And after many years, you met your mom.
Yes.
You came face to face. How did it feel?
2 words, Bashy: homecoming.
Okay.
It was like when I think for me as an adopted son, I have always thought about where do I really come from, my blood and my genes and my true me. Where does that come from? My roots. So it was like coming home in a way. Of course.
And how old you were at that time when
I was
you met?
24, as I remember.
26.
26. Okay,
wow.
I was 26.
You were 23 when I found you, but 26 when we saw each other first time.
But this family which took care of you, where you were adopted to.
Yes.
They're also your parents in one way.
They are also my parents, of course. Yes.
And you have a good contact with them?
They are both dead today.
Oh,
so
sorry to hear
it's
that.
no problem.
No. Okay. And how is your relation developing with your mom? Because very important, once you meet your biological mom, sometimes it doesn't go as expected,
True.
But I understand that you have a really beautiful relationship. How did it happen?
It happened over years.
Okay.
So it's like meeting a stranger. So it's a little bit ambivalent because it felt like coming home, but also a person you don't know really. So we have used a lot of years getting to know each other.
Yes.
So, and that is just getting deeper and deeper from every year, and it's very beautiful. So,
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
Aniella, you have written a book
Yes,
about Michael.
Yes.
It's called My Child, Where Are You?
Yes.
Can you show this book?
Yes,
and
this is the book I wrote.
and that is Michael and
It's that's Michael when he was a baby. He gave that picture to me. Yes, and on the back side we are both. And
Okay,
it
yeah,
is-
sure.
Yes.
Tell me a little
Okay.
bit, why did you write this book?
I knew I had to write this book. I have known it for many years.
In your heart?
In your heart, yes. Since I got my younger son, who is now 28 years old, I knew I had to write this book. Because I have some experience on my own body. It has been very hard for me, but I got over it, and what before was my weakness now is my strength.
After he was adopted, then you got married later.
Yes.
You know, you have a family.
Yes.
Did it help to have a family, like more children?
Of course, it was nice to have children that I could keep.
Yes.
But it wasn't. They couldn't replace the first child. No,
yes.
no.
And you always.
I still missed him, of course.
Okay.
All the years.
And so this is the story of
Yes.
your struggle.
This is my story from I was a child and up to today, and also I tell about adoption in a bigger perspective.
Okay.
And yes, and it's the first book in Denmark written by a biological mother. There are many books about adoption, but they are told by the adoptive parents.
Because I can see you have taken 2 other books.
Yes, I have taken two other books with me.
One is with Third Sight. This one?
I will take this
Go ahead.
first.
Yeah.
Børneimportant Child's Import of Children.
To Denmark?
Yes, to Denmark, yes.
And the word import is like coffee.
Yes, and it is, you can say. It is written by the 3 journalists who heard about many children adopted to Denmark, many of them from Germany, children of a German woman and Afro-American
soldiers.
Yes. And there was a one-man army by Tyde Botfeldt who thought it was better for all the children to come to Danish families than staying in their own family. But many of those children didn't have a good life here in Denmark. And the worst case in this story is about a couple, Ole Brems and Lise Brems, who adopted 9 children from different parts of the world. And most people who are older, 50 years old, will remember them. I remember them from I was a child. There was talking very much about them. They gave those children such a good life and so on.
So what is this third book? Please tell me, because we have to.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. We can
okay. This is a book by Dorrit Seitz.
The journalist.
Yes. Yes. And it's before this. Some years ago, Dorrit Seitz didn't knew much about adoptions. She didn't knew that adopted children miss their parents, and she didn't knew that many adoptive parents break the bond to their children.
And it is called On the Battlefield of Adoption.
Yes,
it's very strong name.
Yes, it is. And she has followed Amy from Ethiopia.
Okay, it was a very famous case, yes?
Yes, and she writes about a lot of scandals, and it's very, very documented.
Yes,
and my story is also in it, told in a short way.
In 2000,
Yes.
you started a therapy clinic.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
I did it because I have many experience on my own life, and I come through it, and I want to help other people. And then I took different educations, and I have been experiencing something very hard, and I want to help other people. Yes.
And actually, Michael, you also are almost in the same field.
We are in the same field.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing that.
Yes, it's
you
very.
got it from your mom.
Yes.
Quite interesting.
Yes, it is.
What do you do?
I have a small clinic and facility where we provide healthcare. So we work with very sick people, but we also work with top athletes and work with trying to help them getting better results.
So it's like a holistic approach.
It's very holistic. It's with mental, emotional coaching, and also nutrition and physical movement and stuff like that.
Aniella, there have been many horrible adoption stories.
Yes.
Some of you have mentioned, some
Yes.
of I have read in, and I also know among ethnic minority families like Pakistani Turks, Arab families, that their children are also forcefully taken out of the families and adopted in recent years. If you look at the whole situation, do you think that it is just happening, or there is anything behind it? You know,
there's something behind it.
Please
of course.
tell us,
Yes, it is big business. If you say it right away, yes.
So big business for adopting children from other countries.
Yes.
And Denmark allows that.
Yes.
Okay. So.
It happens. It's not allowed, but it happens, and the authority close their eyes for it. They know it happens, but they don't do anything.
But you have called it commission work, you know?
Yes,
like, somebody commissioned it.
Yes.
Why? It's a big way to say something, hey, you are doing something wrong.
Yes, because I can see they have done nothing to make things right. In the holistic analyze, they start to talk about the children's need, but after a few lines they talk about the adoptive parents' needs, and that's what it's all about. And all the questions they ask is about how do we help adoptive families, nothing about how do we help the families to keep their own children and so on.
But in this holistic analysis, they say that we want to help everybody. So that is why they call it a holistic approach.
Yes,
and you don't agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. They didn't at all ask us who have experienced this. All the questions was just about the adoptive families.
So this investigation was not good?
No, not at all. They didn't investigate anything, and they didn't do any. The only thing one thing they did was to put the two agencies together to one. But what should that help?
So how about to ensure this ethically and legally correct? You know, what is, in your opinion, could have been the best method to do that?
The best matter is to help families to keep their own children, and only adopt children to new families if both the parents are dead, or if there's no one in the family who can take care of the child. Then it would be, of course, good to give the child a new family. But if there's someone who can take care of the child, it's better to the child stays.
But then the argument is that the children from poor families who will have very terrible life in Korea or Ethiopia or other countries, they are brought into affluent families in Denmark. They will have a better future. Isn't it right?
Maybe in material way it will have food every day and have education and so on, but it wouldn't have the connection to their own family.
And is it necessary to have that connection
Yes,
with the
yes, it is.
families?
Of course it is.
Okay.
So I ask, why should we pay for that other people cannot have children? Why should we, mothers and children, suffer all our lives just to please someone who can't have their own children?
Well, if somebody
Yes.
cannot have
Yes,
children, but
yes.
don't you think that they can adopt children?
Yes, if it is children which both parents are dead, it's and there's no one in the other family, and of course I also understand it must be hard not could having children if you really want it, but there are other ways you can do something for children.
Michael,
you can help them in
you are-
their own family.
Sure.
Yes.
Michael, you were forcefully adopted, you know, I mean, from your mom.
Yes.
And now you listen to your mom and the work she does.
Yes.
Do you think that she's doing the right thing?
Well, I'm not that much into her work, Bashy, to be honest. So, but
This process of adoption, you know, when
Yeah.
biological parents or mothers are on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
side,
yeah.
and
yeah.
all the focus is on those who adopt children.
Yeah. I think there should be more focus on the parents who are forced to adopt their children away.
So you mean, do you think it would have been good that if your mom would have been also part of your upbringing from the beginning? Then you will have two parents, your mom
Yeah,
and
I don't know. it's difficult. It's the past. So now
Yes.
I'm here in the future. So
Okay.
it's very difficult to say.
Fine. Aniella, you have a group called Adoption Triangle.
Yes.
What
yes.
is it?
It is a group which there are both parents who have lost their children to adoption, and there are adopters and the adoptive parents, and also people who are interested in this thing.
So you help them.
Yes.
Advise
yes,
them?
I advise them, and I discuss things with them, and yes.
So beside you, are
Yeah.
there other groups, for example, adoption-related group, who have also criticized the system?
Yes. My group was first started, and afterwards there come other groups that also criticize.
Okay. I have seen
adoption.
that there are many young adoptees from Korea. Now they are
Yes.
very active now.
Yes.
Because they feel that they have been done unjust. You know, sometimes their parents are alive,
Yes.
and they have been told lies that their
Yes,
parents were
yeah,
dead, and that
yes.
is why they have been adopted.
Yes.
You know, and they are very, very angry.
Yes,
Actually,
of
when
course,
I
yeah.
speak with them,
Yeah.
you understand their
Yes.
feeling.
Yes, I understand. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
You say that authorities do not listen to NGO proposals.
No.
Is it
no.
true?
Yes, it is
Why
true.
don't they do that?
Yes, that's hard to say, but I think that they don't want the truth to be told about what really happens. And I can give you many examples that they don't listen. I have, for instance, asked our social minister for several years to have a meeting. But I asked for the first time in 2011, and no, there wasn't time. And I also asked other social ministers; they never have time to have a meeting with me.
And there have been a very famous case which you talked also from Kenya.
Yes.
And the agency which was involved was called Danish agency. You know, they were
Yeah.
involved in that.
Yes.
And how can in a country like Denmark this kind of agency exist? How come? There's no control?
No, it's just too loose. There's not that control that there should be. No.
So it's just a money-making thing?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's buying and selling children?
Buying and selling children. That is what happens. They say it's about giving children. It's for the best of the children, but I don't think it's the truth.
But one of the arguments I hear again and again that it's better to have children in Denmark, otherwise they will be starving in Ethiopia here and there, you know.
Yes, yes.
Is there no weight in that argument?
No, I don't think so, because many of this orphanage is just built because of adoption. the adoption agency go to Ethiopia, and before there was no children who was adopted, but they built adoption, they built orphanage and go to the parents and say, put your children here, they will get food every day and they will get good education and so on. And you will keep the contact with the child, and they don't know what happened, and then the children are sent to, for instance, Denmark.
And it's just like the relationship is cut off?
Yes,
okay.
yes. And they mustn't, after Ethiopian law, you mustn't split up the families.
You have used the word abducted children, like those people. And I've also heard stories that children are abducted from different places and put in an orphanage to make it legal to adopt them.
Yes.
Okay. Some say that the adopted children are not wanted by their families, by their biological families. It could be true?
No, I wouldn't say it in that way. Sometimes the child may become in not the right time, you can say, or maybe the mother is very young, or the situation is very difficult.
Yes.
It is not the child who is unwanted. It is maybe an unwanted situation or a difficult situation.
So you mean that biological parents never forget their children?
No, of course not.
So it's just an excuse.
It's your own flesh and blood.
Yes.
So of course you don't forget.
But it's also true that sometimes the children are deserted by the biological parents. They are just. I know from Pakistan sometimes. That the mothers or parents who are young or maybe they're afraid, so they put their children to.
Yes. I know it happens, and it is of course the parents are in a very, very difficult situation, and they have they don't. They cannot keep the child.
But when a child is very small, for example, a few months or maybe 1 or 2 years, the child doesn't suffer. You just take child from one family to another. It's like transplanting family.
No, I don't think so, because the child knows its mother from before it is born. It knows her voice and her heartbeat and so on. So
but the child doesn't know. I mean, Michael didn't know you so much when he was born.
I can tell you, he told me the first time we met, he could recognize my duft. What do you say?
Smell.
Smell.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and I didn't understand because because he was taken away from me right away, and I only was allowed to see him one time when he was a little baby, but he could recognize me. And also I can tell, when I came to the children's home where he was when he was a baby, I could go right over to where he was. I wasn't in doubt. I knew which was my baby.
Michael, could you feel it really? I mean, you say you could smell her motherly saint.
True. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's such a natural thing.
It was very, very natural, not mystical at all. It was just like I knew her somehow. The smell. I knew that.
You could relate to her.
I could relate to that smell. Yeah, and it's not a smell other people have. I mean, it's like we have our own.
Of course.
So
and also aura.
Yes.
Aniella, you also claim that adoptive parents and hold this adoption system only helps the adopting parents, not the other way around.
No.
Is it true?
Yes, it's true. It's true. There are many parents also here in Denmark who have lost their children to adoption, and there are nothing help to them. I have some years ago asked to make a project to help this, to raise some money to help those women, but the social ministry said no, that's no need for. There be given many money to the adoptive family and advice to adoptive family, but no help and no advice to the families who lose their children or are in danger of losing their children.
And there are many.
I think
there
it's very
few or many.
There are many, and all are. Most of them are suffering in silence.
You also object to certain terminology which are being used in this adoption system, like a child is given up for adoption.
Yes, yes.
Or a child is being released and taken home.
It's
why?
Because you never give up your child. You maybe give it. You have to give it to strange people, but you never give up. You will still love your child, all wishes. Also, when it is you don't have it with you, and they're talking about a child released and coming home. It's not coming home to bring the child over the other side of the world. It's yes.
There was a conference in the Danish parliament called Adoption, a Political Deal. Did you speak there? Did they
No, I was not allowed to speak there. No.
In a country of free speech?
Yes, no. I had a long conversation with them who arranged the conference, but I wasn't allowed to speak. I could come as a publicum there, and I could raise my hand and say something, but once they took the microphone to the next one, they wouldn't talk. They would only talk about all the good of adoption and so on.
So I will speak with some NGOs. Maybe we can make a conference.
Yes,
because there are many minority children are being adopted, forcefully adopted.
Yes.
Where we can work together and make this issue up, and your struggle will continue.
Yes, yes. Until we have human rights, it will continue. Yes.
And you consider it's a human right violation?
Yes, it is human rights. Yes. I also can tell you, I had a conference last spring, and I invited our social minister and politicians. They didn't have time to come. No.
Michael, last thing I want to ask you. Now you have been reunited with your mom.
Yes.
Okay. And you feel satisfied in your heart?
I do, very much, definitely.
Yeah.
And with these beautiful words, thank you very much, Aniella, for coming. Michael,
thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. And I hope that our viewers understand this important issue which is happening right in Denmark, in one of the most democratic countries which talks a lot about human rights, but often do not live up to those human rights. Until next time, take good care of yourself.